Thank you, Jack.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Morena, for the beautiful flowers. Makes such a difference. Yay. And welcome back, Rick. And today is Palm Sunday. We enter Holy Week now, so it's true. Sometimes Christ asks of us more than we really want. Sometimes life asks of us more than we want to deal with at any time. And always life asks of us to step beyond our current boundaries. And it's not always easy. So I'm going to start this morning with the scripture passage from Luke regarding Palm Sunday. The passage is in Matthew as well and John, so it tells you it's a very important message for all of us. Matthew representing our surrendered will, God's will. John representing love, and Luke, which I'm reading from today, and we have a couple of readers. So it begins. Jesus went on ahead, going up to Jerusalem. Where's Kathy?
Oh, you want me to just read from here?
Yeah.
I was going to read it out of the Bible.
Go ahead. Would you stand? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to have to Google it. I don't have a Bible.
Well,
Sorry.
don't worry. Come on. I'll read, and then Ed will take over. So, going on, when Jesus drew near to Bethpage and Bethany at the mount called Olivet, he sent two of the disciples, saying, "Go into the village opposite where it is the entrance, and you'll find a colt. No one has ever been on this colt before. Untie it and bring it here. If anyone asks you, 'Why are you bringing that colt?' you shall say this, 'The Lord has need of it.'" So those who were sent went away and found the colt as he had told them. And as they were untying the colt, the owner said, "Why are you untying the colt?" And they said, "The Lord has need of it."
And they brought him to Jesus. And they cast their garments upon the colt, and they set Jesus thereon. And as he went, they spread their clothes on the way. And when he was come nigh, even now at the descent of the Mount of Olives, the whole multitude of the disciples began to rejoice and praise God with a loud voice for all the mighty works that they had seen, saying, Blessed be the King that cometh in the name of the Lord, peace in heaven, and glory in the highest.
Thank you, Ed. So what does that mean to all of us, right? One of the great things about unity is the metaphysical interpretation of our textbook here. So let me say a few words about this to hopefully bring the message home. So it talks about Jesus drawing near to Bethpage and Bethany. And Bethpage represents the realization of the indwelling Christ. So just think for a moment, when did you first really get that there's a divine seed in me and that's going to make all the difference in my life? Do you remember that moment? I remember exactly where I was sitting when I first heard it a long time ago. So that's what Bethpage and Bethany represents, a overcoming power, where we realize that if we have a divine seed in us, we have an inborn resilience. No matter what's on our plate at any given moment, there's something in us that can get past it, overcome it. And as you could maybe tell from the video, that idea of Jesus being a soldier and a conqueror is not the Christ. The Christ always comes in humility. I can't, God can, and I think I'll let him. Always comes in humility and always comes to bring peace. Never to stir up our insides, never to churn us up into wanting to fight. And I have a disclaimer on that, of course, because there are some times where we have to stand up to what isn't just, but it's never in a warring frame of mind. It's always in a, what could be the solution here? What could bring peace? And so he asked for the colt as a symbol of, I'm coming. The Christ in us always comes to whatever's going on in our lives in any given moment, always comes with the idea, call on the power that's greater than yourself. Call on that power, and it will bring you peace. So we are here in Palm Sunday, and we have blessed palms up here that we'll pass out after the service. Our theme is going to be about creativity and courage today, but let's say this affirmation together. By the power of God in me, my resilience becomes brilliance. Brilliance, that means, I'm thinking it means the light of God shines in us. So as you and I go into our day and our week, do you know what you're doing after service today? Are you going to be with anybody else? Yeah. Then you want to bring your light, right? We want to bring our light to all the people that we meet with. So let's say it again. By the power of God in me, my resilience becomes brilliance. And the theme for the year, this is for the benefit of Rick. Gang, let's go to it. The art of abundance, courage, creativity, and commitment. Yes. Do you remember, I think it was last week, wasn't it, when we were talking about the prayer of hubbies? Yeah. So this idea of the art of abundance is so well expressed in that prayer. Lord, that you would bless me indeed and expand my territory, expand my reach, expand my impact. And that your hand would be with me as I go along that journey. That I not hurt myself or anybody else in the process. So your board is meeting this afternoon after service, and that's our prayer, right, board?
Right.
Lord, that you would bless us indeed and expand our borders, expand our impact. So as individuals, as a faith community, we want to expand our impact in a very positive way where we're bringing our light, especially where there's darkness. And the theme for the month is
Spiritual efforts.
Yes, you know, I love to think of our lives, or the purpose of our lives is to make a masterpiece, to create a work of art. I like to think of it that way, and imagine with me that each day we have a palette of infinite colors on which to paint this day, the picture of this day. Do we want to paint something colorful and beautiful? Yes. And each day adds to that artwork that our life is. For today, it is discipleship. How many of you are willing to be disciples? You all are, by the way. BTW, by the way. Because if we're sitting in church on a Sunday morning, we are disciples of some belief. Hopefully it's the unity belief that all things are possible with God, the Christian belief that's right in that book. And so we are called to be disciples. If we're Christians, we're disciples of Jesus' teachings. If we're Buddhists, we're disciples of the Buddha teaching. If we're Muslims, we're disciples of Muhammad's teachings, the Quran. But here, sitting in this service, we're disciples of the teachings in that textbook. And it's always about a call to courage and commitment. So, what are you being called to courageously do right now in your life? You got something, Jack? Something courageous. It doesn't have to be monumental, you know. It could be something very, very simple, like forgive somebody today. Forgive yourself for something. You know, I got a text last night from one of my girlfriends, and she said, you know, I had a pretty good day, but I didn't show up for a friend of mine. And I texted her back saying, well, maybe a good idea to forgive yourself. Because I don't want to get off into forgiveness right now, but if we don't forgive ourselves, we can't see clearly the next right step. We can't see the solution if we're not forgiving ourselves and everybody else. Well, isn't it interesting and auspicious that Passover happens to be next Friday and Saturday? So I'm going to tell 3 stories to hopefully get you to think about your own story about what it means today. That this is Palm Sunday, and palms always represent resilience. Our capacity to find nourishment even in barren situations. And it's our call to do that. So the first story is, I'm a member of Toastmasters in Rancho Santa Fe. And at our meeting this week, one of the new members comes up to me and she says, oh, I'm so excited to be here. And she hands me, this is a magazine that I publish, she tells me. And I look at it, and it is, the headlines say, Hamitz of the mind. Hamitz, she says. I go, oh, Hamitz, Hamitz. I had never heard that word before. I thought she was saying something else. Anyway, this magazine it's a Jewish magazine, and it was all about Passover. And Passover is coming up Friday for the Jewish people, but also for Jesus, because Jesus was a Jew, so we're going through a Passover too. And the Seder plate that is always a part of the Jewish celebration of Passover, is a plate of symbols of new freedom and hope. New freedom, hope, and peace by the various symbols on that plate. And so this magazine article was talking about get rid of the chametz food, because Jews aren't supposed to have anything leavened over Passover. But the article went on to say just what we talk about here in Unity, and that is get rid of the chametz of the mind, the stuff of the mind that doesn't allow for a Passover from anything that binds us, seems to limit us into fuller freedom and peace. From anything that is upsetting in the moment to peace of mind and heart. So this week is about a commitment to getting rid of the chametz of our mind. Like double down. Because the whole theme of Lent, you know, is fast, right? Fast, pray, and feast. Fast from the chametz, pray, turn to prayer, and then feast on the good. So the next story is about a terrorizing experience I had some years ago. I was in Vail, Colorado. Any of you ski? Snow ski? So a friend of mine said, come on, let's go do the back bowls. And I hadn't done the back bowls, so she took me up on the chairlift, and as we jumped off the chairlift and we're standing at the cliff edge, and I'm looking like this.
Double diamond.
And I said, I'm looking for a way out. There must be a back road I can get out of here. Just like Jesus must have been as he prepared to go into Jerusalem, knowing what was coming. I knew what was coming. And I thought, I'm going to lose my limbs. I might not make it. You know how your mind goes. The chametz was taking over. So my friend says something to me that I have cherished from that day forward. She said, you can do this. You look only 10 feet in front of you. Only 10 feet in front of you. In other words, when you and I are going through something, we don't look at all the ice on the way. We look 10 feet in front of us. If I can go 10 feet, I won't be scared. If you and I can go just one step, the fear can go away. How many of you remember Korah, the story of Korah? Oh, good. I'm glad it'll be like new to you. But I mentioned Korah before because I've been in prayer. Well, the whole family has been in prayer for a couple of months now. This is my niece's little baby girl. She was born with trisomy 13, which is a genetic disorder. And children who are born with this are not often expected to be born to go to full term. And if they make it to full term, they're often not expected, they don't live past 1 month. And most of them don't live past 1 year. Complication after complication. So little Korah, Aaron, her mama, and her daddy, Christian, were told during her pregnancy, this is what's going to happen here. And they had a choice, right? They had a chametz moment. And they both, because they're faithful people filled with love, said, we're gonna go the full term here. No abortion. So the little one was born back in March, She was born and could not see, 90% blind. She was hearing impaired. But nevertheless, look at this. Her mom and dad loved her like you've never seen loving before. And a complication developed. I think I told you this part. She went into surgery because a mass had developed on her tailbone, and they said, we have to remove her tailbone. Imagine that. So she went in for surgery. Imagine an itty baby, not more than 9 months old, being fed intravenously, put out to go through the surgery. She made it through the first surgery. Now she's on pain meds. Are you kidding me? She's home after 17 days in the hospital. And my niece stayed with her for 17 days. Oh, such love, such commitment to a principle of love and acceptance. 17 days she did not leave that hospital. The baby came home, was home for a week, and developed an infection in the wound on the tailbone. Back in. Put on pain meds again, antibiotics, wrong antibiotic. A couple weeks ago, she had to go back in for another surgery. How resilient can one little spirit be? She made it through the second surgery. And she celebrated her first birthday. Full of love, right? You know, when we give love, it comes back. We cannot not get love when we love with a pure heart. So that's the Palm Sunday message, y'all. Courage, creativity, and commitment. Fast, pray, and feast. Her parents had to fast from all of the things the doctors said, because the doctors were not encouraging. Yeah, we'll do the surgery, but you might not make it. And they would not give up. My brother and sister-in-law would not give up. We were all in deep prayer, envisioning the resurrection. And indeed it did happen. We don't know what the future is, but today, little Cora has celebrated her first birthday. And Easter is about a kind of birth for each of us. You know, when we talk resurrection, we really mean a new life, a new perspective as a result of all of the fasting from the chametz that we've done. All of the praying that we have done, all of the feasting on the possibilities and the love and the life. I mean, if you and I look around, have you seen the flowers everywhere? It's full of life around here. I mean, even things I thought were weeds have flowers on them. And I thought, you know, that's a great metaphor, isn't it? For the weeds in our lives, we're called to find the flowers in the weeds. No chametz of the mind this week. Double down. I'm going to double down. Together, I'm going to double down. No chametz. No chametz. This is from Dennis Merritt Jones' book, the book we've been using, or I've been reading and enjoying, and it's called The Art of Abundance, kind of our theme for this year. So he says the universe is perpetually offering you an expanded horizon. This is the Easter story, an expanded horizon. Was Jesus the same when he rose from the dead? No. And you and I aren't either. Whenever you and I rise out of any bad condition, doesn't matter if it's a little one or a huge one, we're not the same people in this mind of ours. We're not. Our consciousness has been transformed. And that's the call of our life. we must first have the courage to push the edge of our current belief system. So whatever's up in your life now, I bet someone in here is standing at the edge of their belief system, right? If you're not, just wait, it's going to happen.
One day or another.
Isn't that true? Because that's life. The way we grow and transcend and become these radiant, brilliant beings is to be overcomers. Okay, it's time for affirmations, y'all. Jump up. I will make of my life a high priest of courage and commitment. I give thanks that I am always and forever guided by the strength and joy of God to live from the heart of discipleship. I am courageous and committed about making my life a work of art beginning today. Beginning today. Yay! You can sit down. It is the offertory time of our service. And this is a time when we together give thanks for all of the good. And we bring our tithes and love offerings in honor of all of the good that has ever been, honoring God as